वंदे वेदांतदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथ समारंभां नाथ यामुन मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मव्यामोहतस्तरितराणि कृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य कुलपते वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना। भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणु परकाल योगीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानाथं को न याति पराङ्गतिं। वेदवेगे परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदं प्राचेतसा दासी साक्षात् रामायणात्मना। अंजनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशम् अक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्का भयङ्करं मनोजवं मरुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। आञ्जनेयमदिपाटलाननं काञ्चनादिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमाननन्दनं। यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलि बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्। श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्य कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि। अनृतभयमुचितहृदय विकृवचनपालन प्रतिज्ञावज्ञातयोपराज्य निषादराजसौहृदस्फुचितसौशीर्यसागर भरद्वाजशासनं परिगृहीत विचित्रचित्रकूटगिरिकटकटरम्यावसथ अनन्यशासनीय प्रणतभरतमकुटतटसुघटितपादुकाग्र्याभिषेक निर्वर्तित सर्वलोकयोगक्षेम विशितरुचिवीररुहितबलमथनतनय बलिबुधनुगरि सरभसशयन तृणशकलपरिभजनमयचकितसकलसुराम्बर बहुमत महास्त्रसामर्थ्य द्रुहिणहलबलमथन दुरारक्षशरलक्ष दण्डकादपोवन जङ्गमपारिजात विराधहरितशार्दूढ विरुडित बहुफलमहकलम रजनिचय मृगमृगयारम्भ संभृत क्षीरभृतनुरोध त्रिशिरशिरस्त्रिदय तिमिरनिरासभासरकर दूषण जलनिधि शोषण घोषित ऋषिगण घोषित विजय घोषण कर 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 तरु खण्डन चण्ड पवन विसप्त रक्षसहस्र नडवन विरोधन महाकण्डव असहाय शूर अनपाय साहस महितमृत महामृत दर्शन मुदित मैथिली दृढत परिरम्भण विभव विरोपित विकट वीर प्रण मारीच माया मृग चर्म परिकल्पित निर्भर दर्भास्तरण विक्रम यशोदा भविग्रीत जीवित गृध्र राजदेह विदर्शा रक्षित भक्त जन दाक्षिण्य कल्पित विबुध भाव कबन्धाभिनन्दित अवध्य महिम मुनिजन भरण मुषित हृदय कलुष शबरी मोक्ष साक्षीभूत। A very good evening. to the gathering here. For the last 3 days, we have had the fortune to discuss the celestial marriage of Sri Ram and Sridhar, which was day 1. Day 2, we had the opportunity to talk about Pattabhishekam and the importance of the holy sandals as elucidated by the great poet par excellence Swami Sri Vedanta Deshika and Paduka Sahasram. Day 3, being yesterday, we had the opportunity to discuss at length about Shabari Moksham and Jatayu Moksham. So with this, we are coming to a close of 3 cantos, 3 cantos in Srimad Ramayana: Bala, Ayodhya, Aranya. Now comes the 4th canto, the 4th canto, which is Kishkinda Kandam. So in Kishkinda Kandam, we will be able to discuss about Sugreeva Pattabhishekam and in a brief account about Bali's death at the hands of Lord Sri Rama. Now, whatever I read before is from Raghuvira Gadyam. This is a beautiful composition in prose form by Swami Sri Vedanta Deshika, where he tries to bring the essence of every kandam. But since it's been written in prose, it's slightly one step tougher to memorize than poetry. Prose is always tougher than poetry. 1. Second, it has been written in Sanskrit, which itself is a nightmare for some. Third, and it has been written in the toughest of the dialects in Sanskrit. Every language has its own dialect. For example, if you take Hindi, you say there is a difference between Delhi ka Hindi or Bombay ka Hindi. Likewise, in Tamil, there is a difference between Coimbatore Tamil, Tirunelveli Tamil, and above all, the crown of all, which is Madras Tamil. So, likewise, Kannada also has its difference in Mysore Kannada, Shimoga Kannada, Hasan Kannada, Bijapur Kannada, and so on. Likewise, you have got many dialects in Sanskrit called Vaidarbhi, Panchali, Gaudi. There are so many such dialects in Sanskrit. Some having their own speciality, some having their unique ways to deal with. But one such dialect which is being handled by Vedanta Deshika and Raghuvira Gadyam is very tough. So we have had the opportunity to bring the essence of Raghuvira Gadyam for Bala Kandam on day 1, for Ayodhya Kandam and Aranya Kandam today. So likewise I will be speaking about every Kandam then and there. Here, Rama and Lakshmana, they were in search of Sita. So as they came across Jatayu, they saw the one who was dying, but Rama, out of his supernatural powers, that is, out of his Paratva Guna, granted salvation to that dying bird. Then he came across the hermitage of Shabari. She lived like a hermitess, she lived like a she sannyasini, she lived like an ascetic in the forest. She started accumulating, collecting fruits for Rama's arrival. The moment Rama arrived, she gave him those fruits, and with this hospitality, she also requested that he be a witness to her salvation. Thinking of the lotus feet of her guru, called as Matanga Maharishi, she attained salvation. So this is where we have seen Aranya Kandam reach. Now Rama goes further and he tells Lakshmana, why don't we go to Pampa Lake? Pampa was a lake in Kishkinda Rajyam. Kishkinda Rajyam currently amounts to the Bellary district of Karnataka, where Vijayanagara kings headquartered themselves at Hampi, which is today called the ruins of Hampi. That was once started by Harihara and Dukka under the biggest presence of the pontiff of Sringeri Matham called Vidyaranya Bharati. So Harihara and Dukka started that, and they called it the Vijayanagara dynasty. The famous amongst those kings was one very famous Krishna Devaraya, and above all his mantri was even more famous called Tenali Ramakrishna. So this is Vijayanagara dynasty. They were headquartered in the Kishkinda Rajyam. Kishkinda Rajyam is the erstwhile Kishkinda Rajyam of Ramayana, which had a lake called as Pampa. Now, the moment I said Shabari before and Pampa now, it should not be confused with the temple that is celebrated in Kerala called as Shabarimala on the banks of river Pampa. This should not be confused. Here, Shabari has already attained moksham, and Pampa is not a river, it is a lake. So he says, Hridaye Narabhyagra Shubha Shubhamamami Bhavishyati Tadagachadamishyavaha Pampam Priyadarshanam. Let us go have a look at the Pampa lake, said Rama. He told that now that I am missing Sita, at least by having a look at the lake, I can seek some solace. So that is what he tells. And then he says, how beautiful is this lake? Because I can smell the fragrance of newly blossomed lotuses. Padma kesara sansushtaha vrikshantara vinisrida nishvasa iva sitaya vakivayu manoharaha. I can smell the newly fleshly blossomed lotuses, because lotus is termed as the seat of Mahalakshmi. Padmini, Padmagandhini, Padmahastam, Padmamukhi. So these are all names that indicate that the lotus is associated with Mahalakshmi. Indeed, one poet says, how beautiful is the face of Mahalakshmi, and isn't it a wonder to see lotuses blooming inside the lotus? You may see a group of lotuses blooming or blossoming individually, but the poet says, I see two lotuses blossom in the lotus. What is that lotus? The face of Mahalakshmi is like that of a lotus. Her two eyes are also lotuses. It looks as if the lotuses were born inside the lotus. Hence, even in Dashamahavidya, those of them who follow Sri-Vidya Upasana, they say that in the 10 categories that they visualize Devi, they start right from the people who are the watchmen to Sri Chakram, and those who may say Lalita Sahasranam may feel that the ultimate Bindu Tripona, the one who resides at the center, is called Kamala. She is being guarded by a lady who is green in color. Since she was greenish hued, she was called Mechakamini Matangi, and she is the one who plays the veena very well, Vainika. At the same time, she is the one who owns the mantras, so she is called Mantrini. That is why it is said Mantrini Parisevita Kirichakra Ratharuda Dandanada Puraskrita Jwala Marinika Kshipta Bandi Prakara Madhyada. That is why the goddess in Madurai, is termed as Mechakamini Matangi. Matangi Sridhar states Dikshitar. In another Kirtana he states Mama Meenakshi Rajamadangi Mama Meenakshi Rajamadangi Madhuramani Vadai Veni Mama. So even there, the one who is worshipped by all deities is Mahalakshmi, Kamala. That is why Dikshitar indicates Kamala Purasadanam Rudugadanam Gamaniya Radanam Kamala Vadanam Kamala Bam Bhajade. So she is the one who holds lotuses. Lotus is associated with her. Now comes a question. When we see the photo of any Mahalakshmi by any painter, by any artist, or generally even if we see RBI Mahalakshmi, she will have many gold coins coming from her hand, one plate that is unable to hold those gold coins. Because for us, when we say that Mahalakshmi grants wealth, for us wealth is only money, but for our acharyas, knowledge is wealth. For those who seek salvation, moksham is wealth. For those who seek Atmanubhavam, Kaivalyam is wealth. Aishwaryam, Aksharagatim, Paramam Paramva. She is the one who grants all forms of wealth. But why do we associate it only with coins? Because however mature we claim that we are still immature in regarding wealth as only synonymous with the gold coins. So she is the one who has got two lotuses behind and two hands like this. Why, asks the poet? Because she keeps pressing the lotus feet of the Lord. She's wondering when she takes a sabbatical if the lotuses that she's holding is more soft or these two hands which press the feet of the Lord which is more soft. This is just a literary fantasy, but what we need to appreciate is she is the one who is as fresh, as tender, as beautiful as the lotus. Padma Kausa Saugarasan Saugandhikavaham Shivam Shoka Vinashanam Dhanya Lakshmana Sevante Pampopavana Marutam. That is when Rama and Lakshmana are walking by this region. There, from the cave of this mountain called as Drishyamukha Parvatam, that is when he spots who Sugreeva turns and sees these two strong, gym-bodied men coming. Yetau vanamidam durgam bali pranihito dhruvam chatmana charivasanau pracharantaviha agato. He knew that his brother is on the hunt to kill him. So he thought these two people have been dispatched by his brother to kill him. So that is when he tells Hanuman. Hanuman is his political advisor, like Joe. Yasma tava bhayam saumya purvajat papakarmanaha sa nehavali dushtatma nade pashyamyaham bhayam. But Hanuman tells, when I look at these two men, I don't see any danger for you, Sugreeva. But Sugreeva tells, Mamaivabhimukam sthitva pritcham tvam haripungava prayojanam praveshasya vanasyasya dhanurdharo. How beautiful. He tells, I am also not sure whether these men are being dispatched. Anyways, Hanuman, you go there and check. If you come to know that these two men are being dispatched by Bali, then what you do is you turn your face from there and indicate through your eyes, Mamaivabhimukam sthitva. Generally, we will go ask some person to check, ulla chair irukkan poi paaru. Illena ange should do. So you tell from there itself that there is no chair. So you will always want somebody to work for you. So Sugreeva wanted Hanuman to work for him. That is when Hanuman thought, in what form should I go? Because imagine, though he is a monkey, learned monkey. So now he is an Avavyakarana Panditaha, one who knew 9 forms of grammar. So never would there be a situation where he can make a grammatical mistake. People who listen to his speech may have to write the rules of grammar because he was so much adhering to the rules of grammar. But imagine a well-learned monkey speaking before us. We are all going to Mandalore Zoo, thinking that we are going to see animals which are lesser in intelligence and smartness than us. We go to one cage where the monkeys are placed. Now we hold those bars. For them it will be as if we are inside the jail. That is different. But when we hold the bars, one monkey comes before us and says, Tato yuddha parishrantam samare chintaya sthitam. So we will be in a confused state. We will not know how did this monkey acquire that knowledge. Likewise, Hanuman thought, if I go and speak in Sanskrit, he may have a doubt. So what can I do? He thought. Then he took the form of a learned Vedic scholar and he went before Rama. So he went in a disguise of a Vedic scholar, indicating that he is a normal human being. But then Kambal, the Tamil poet, describes, as Hanuman walked towards Ram, he felt that his body weight, the weight of his bones had come down and the weight of his love and affection towards Rama had increased. So he went closer to Rama and said, Padma Patre Kshanam Viro Jata Mandala Dharino Anyo Viro Devaloka Diharato Yaruchayeva Samprapto Chandra Surya Vasundhara Visala Vakshasau Viro Manjau Devalupino Ayatasya Sumritasya Bhavaha Parigopamaha Sarva Bhushana Bhushataha Kimartham Navibhushitaha. He speaks all these lines. I'll tell you the meaning later. But hearing to these words, Ram was surprised and he turns towards Lakshmana and describes the beauty of how Hanuman had spoken. This is called Bhashana Kaushalam in Sanskrit. Now, I'll tell you the meaning of what he said. Padmapatre kshanau viro. Viro. In Sanskrit, you don't have singular and plural. You have got singular, dual and plural. It is not one ram and many rams. It is one ram, two rams and more than three rams. Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha. So Hanuman tells, Yadrichayeva samprapto. I am able to see two handsome men just by luck, by chance. Chandra Surya Vasundharam. It looks as if the sun and the moon have descended to the earth. Next, he says, Visala Rakshasau Virau. They have got broad chests indicating that they can protect. Jata Mandala Dharino. They hold matted locks indicating that they have turned ascetics now. When he speaks about all this, he says, Ayatascha Sumritascha Bahavaha. Bahu in Sanskrit is hand. Bahavaha is plural. More than three hands only you have to use Bahavaha. Hanuman is adept in grammar. But he has said Bahavaha for Ram. How can he say Bahavaha? That means Ram should have more than three hands. That is when the commentator states, Yadva Hanumato Bhaktatvena Tasya Chaturbhuja Veshena Drishyo Abhavad. In Ramayana, it is only for Hanuman that Ram shows his extra two hands with Shankham and Chakram like Bhadrachala. If you go to Bhadrachala, which was worshipped by the Rishi called Bhadra, since he worshipped on the Giri, it was called Bhadragiri. They had no temple for this Lord. That is when Damaka is a lady who supports the Lord by doing Abhishekam for him every day. Kanchana Goppanna, who was appointed as the revenue officer under the recommendation of his two uncles Madanna and Aganna, under the jurisdiction of Tana Shah. So this revenue officer Kanchana Goppanna comes and he sees Damaka taking waters to the hill. That is when he asks, whom are you taking the waters for? She tells, follow me. And then he looks at the beautiful idols, the Divyamangala Vigraham of Lord Rama, upon whose lap is seated Sita. Next is Lakshmana in a standing position. That is when he says, Ivigo Bhadragri Gautami Arigo Chudandi Mudamulo Sita Mudita Lakshmanulo Kanisi Konuvaga Raghupati Murti Adigo Bhadra Trigo Damigo Chudandi Anupamanamai Adisudaramai Dhanaru Chakramuru Dhaga Merase Adigo Bhadra Trigo Damigo Chudandi. That is one temple where you can find the Shankham and Chakram for the Lord. So, in Ramayana itself, it is only to Hanuman that this was shown. In Ramayana, the Lord had taken a vow that he will not show his supernatural powers. He will act like a normal human being. So he said, the Manusham Dasharathatmajam, I am a normal man. Atmanam Manusham Manye Ramam Dasharathatmajam, I am a normal human being. But then, in Krishna Avatara, he did not do so. Today, since we have celebrated the birth of Krishna, it becomes very pertinent that I speak a few lines about Krishna and then go back to Rama. When Lord Krishna was born, Vasudeva saw how beautifully the Lord was born. This was mentioned to you on day 1 in the month of March in 2015 at the same premises by me. So, I am sure that I have spoken about this. When Vasudeva saw the Lord born, he said, Tamadbhutam Balakam Ambuja Ikshanam Chaturbhujam Shankha Gadharyudharyudam Srivatsa Lakshmam Gadashobhi Kaustubam Pitambaram Sandra Kayoti Saubhadam Maharha Vaiduvya Kirita Kundala Visha Parishvatta Sahastra Kuntalam Uddhama Anchi Galakankanavidhi Virochaman Vasudeva Vaikshata. Vasudeva, the blessed, the fortunate father, saw through his eyes the lotus-eyed boy born with a beautiful moon-like face, with a sesame flower-like nose, with coral-like lips, with ornaments that adorn him right from his hands to his hip to his neck to the lotus feet. Then he says, Shankha Chakra. He saw the Shankham and Chakram. That is when the mother is worried if her brother who would come to know of this child's birth would harm him. She tells, Upasamhara Nekutra. Keep your two hands with Shankham and Chakram within. Keep it in a hidden state. release it only when my brother is gone. That is why after Kamsavadam, the Lord is supposedly having 4 hands. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, when he took the cosmic form, Arjuna tells, I am not able to see you in this shape with so many heads and so many hands. As usual, the one with 4 hands, come with me. Svenaiva Rupena Chaturbhujena is a beautiful statement in Bhagavatam. Another place, Sujatma Rekhatmaka Shankachakram Tamrodaram Tasya Karaharindam Vilokayatyaha Phaladikarayunyaha, says Vedanta Deshika. It seems a lady who used to bring some rare species of fruits from the forest used to come and sell on the streets of Vrindavan. So she used to say, I have brought these kind of fruits. But ultimately, when she used to keep on hearing the Lord, names of the Lord, she started telling, I am selling Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Instead of shouting as apple and oranges, she said that I am selling the names of Madhava and Govinda. When she stood in the house, the outskirts of Vrindavan, and then she reached the street of Nandagopala, that is when Krishna thought he has to buy jamun fruits from her. He said, wait, I will bring. Since it was barter system in those days, he used to bring a pound full of grains from the backyard. And you know the traditional houses. By the time you walk from the backyard to the front yard, you will start feeling hungry again. Because it used to look so long. So he brought those pound of grains with his fist from the backyard to the front yard where this forest fruit seller was stationed. By the time he brought, the grains used to fall in the gap that was presented between the palms. So by the time he reached her, only 2 grains were attached to his hand. When he had to give this to her, she said, you don't give me these grains. Krishna said, it is wrong to not give something to you. Yes, I am known to steal, but now I want to be to some extent honest and sincere as well. So accept these. She said, I don't want these, I want moksham. Krishna was wondering, how did she know that I will grant moksham? She said, Sujatma Rekhatmaka Shankachakram. On your palms I am able to see the marks of Shankam and Chakram. So, in Krishna Avataram, the forest indweller was able to see the marks of Shankam and Chakram. When Lord Krishna was born, Vasudeva had the opportunity to see Shankam and Chakram. In Ramavataram, the only person who could witness the Shankam and Chakram was none but Hanuman. In Archavataram, if you go to Srirangam, you see the Lord who is reclining. He is sleeping on the serpent couch. There he sports only 2 hands. But Alvar in Avalakanaviran says that I am able to see Shankam and Chakram. How Vedanta Deshika answers. It seems when the Alvar looked at the Lord's palm, he was able to see the marks of Shankam and Chakram. So Shankam and Chakram becomes the Aadhaar card of the Lord. You know Aadhaar card? In our country we have to show. If you get inside the airport, the security will look at me very particularly and he will ask what is this Namakatti. See, as long as I don't apply it to him and I apply it myself, he should be happy. But he will still ask what is this and what is that, and he will ask me to show Aadhaar card. So I need to show my Aadhaar card, and only upon showing the original one, he will let me inside. Imagine that the Lord is also standing with me in the line to get inside the airport to reach Balaji Temple of Great Lakes for this course. Now, if he has to cross the security in India is very sincere. Even if the Lord comes in the line, he will ask him to show the Aadhaar card. But what Aadhaar card will the Lord show? He will show his lotus-like eyes and Shankam and Chakram, that is his Aadhaar card. Shangudu Chakaram Yentum Tadakayan, Pangayar Kannanai, Padu states Andar. Likewise, Hanuman was the one who could witness the Shankam and Chakram of the Lord. Ayatascha Suvrittascha Bahavaha Paribhopamaha Sarvabhushana Bhusharaha Kimartham Navibhushinaha. How beautifully Hanuman states. See Rama, you don't sport any ornaments now. You are not sporting any ornaments. Sarvabhushana Bhusharaha. But remember that not sporting ornaments is the best ornament for you. Sarvabhushana Bhusharaha. How do we interpret this? Why do we sport ornaments? Why do we adorn ourselves with ornaments? We believe that by sporting those ornaments, we may look slightly better. This is just an assumption. So, in most marriages, in some marriages, they call me to give lectures. So, the lectures are intended to explain the rituals to the prospect bride and the groom. Because today there is a major question. I am doing this ritual, but I don't know why. I am doing that ritual, I don't know why. So, the parents, they take all the pain and they arrange my discourse. And And the beauty is, those who are already married for 30-40 years, they will sit and listen, and those who are to get married, they will have gone to the hairdresser. And after 4 hours they will come. It may seem to us if they have looked better before this hairdresser. So here it's the author states that one who sports ornaments does it with the assumption that they may look better, but we are not. But when it is done for the Lord, it is to hide His beauty. It seems our evil eyes will be cast upon Him when He shows His entire body. So they cover Him with all ornaments. When Kaikeyi took away all the ornaments and he was left with no ornaments, Hanuman says, Sarva Bhushana Bhusharhaha. Why do you need any other ornament when not adoring ornaments is the best ornament for you? That is why Purandaradasa states, Bhushana ke Bhushana Iru Bhushana Sesha Vivasa Vadabeka Teryasha Bhushana ke Bhushana. That is when, after listening to the succinct, brief, yet very sweet and grammatically correct speech of Hanuman, Ram turns towards Lakshmana and says, how beautifully he has spoken. Na Nrigveda Vinitasya, na Yajurveda Dharinaha, na Samaveda Vidushaha, Shakyam Evam Prabhashitum, Nunam Vyakaranam Kilsnam Anena Bahudhashritam, Bahuvyahatanena na Kinchit Avashabditam, Avistaram Asandigdham, Avilambitam Apyayam, Urastam Kanthadam Vakyam Vartate Madhyamesware, Samskara Kramasampanna Uddhatam Avilambidam, Uchchalayati Kalyani Vacham Hridayaharini. Lakshmana, know the speech of Hanuman to be the best speech we have ever heard in our life. No person who is adept in learning the Rigveda entirely, Yajurveda entirely, Samaveda entirely can speak as proficiently as him. Know that nobody can speak as beautifully as him. That is when Hanuman mentions the ways that a good speech has to be framed. Geethi Shigri Shirakampi Tata Likhita Partha Anarthagyaha Alpakanthascha Shadeve Pathakadamaha. Geethi. He says what communication skills are. We don't have to spend thousands of dollars learning it in the B school. It is got for free by Valmiki. Geethi. You should not sing and talk. You should not sing while you are talking. You should not do all such things. You should either sing and talk or talk and sing. Geethi. Shigri. One who is delivering the speech should not be fast. Even that, so that the other person cannot understand and ask questions. This should not be the motto. So, Shigri. Shirakampi. One who speaks should not shake his head unnecessarily. What I said? Understood? Shirakampi. Third. Tatha Likhita Patakaha. You should not write and eat, which I am doing. Here, you should not frame every sentence that you are going to speak. Whatever you are going to speak, if you write, then if you switch off the light, then you have to sit and write. So, you should know what you are going to speak. Tatha Likhita Patakaha. Anarthagyaha. You should not use words that may not be appropriate for that situation. Some Tamil loving person listens to my verses from Nalayana Divya Prabandham. He is surprised, at the same time very happy. He calls me, invites me to the marriage of his daughter. I visit that particular marriage. He calls me on the dais and says, why don't you say a few nice verses from Nalayana Divya Prabandham? Barring the 3,999 verses of Nalayana Divya Prabandham, I choose one. Neelameni Ayyo Then he may feel that this may not be appropriate. So a speaker should speak words that are appropriate. Next, Alpa Kanthascha. You should not talk in a voice that Alpa Kanthascha should never be there. Loud voice. Next. Then he says, Rama, look at the way they have designed communication skills. Then he says, Nunam Vyakaranam Kilsnam. You should be very careful about grammar. See, Sanskrit grammar is very tough. At least we are blessed with English grammar. English grammar you can mix it anyway, bend it anyway. Because if there is a rule that you will have to apply and the indefinite article before those words that begin with vowels like A, E, I, O, U, there is an exception to this rule. For example, if words that begin with the vowel but yet with the consonant sound, you have to add A. You don't call it an university, you say a university, because it is not university, it is university whose pronunciation begins with Y, which is a consonant. So English is very flexible. That is why in English proper nouns can be pronounced anyway, but in Sanskrit it is not so. Kamala is Kamalam, whether you pronounce it in America or in India. But the accent of a word, the pronunciation of a word, the spelling of the word in the same English word varies country to country, continent to continent. So this is the most flexible language for us, because whatever we speak will become the trend tomorrow. So, whereas in English, while I used to work in my corporate, that is when we had a meeting and one of the persons was asked to draft the MOM, minutes of the meeting, and then they had to send it and we had to review. The first line began, few people attended the meeting. I was confused. I wrote back to that person, few people did not attend, a few people attended. She said, that is what I said. But few people attended the meeting in general English means nobody attended. Only if you add an indefinite article A, it becomes a few people attended, which means few people attended. So that indefinite article is very much required. Like how English seeks grammatical rules, so does Sanskrit. So Hanuman adhered to all those rules of grammar. Nunam, Vyakaranam, Kritsnam, Anena Bahudhashritam. He spoke in such an effective manner. Bahubhyaharanatanyena na kinchit apashabditam. He did not use words that were not appropriate for that incident. Then he said, Avistaram asandigdam adrudam avilambitam. He did not speak very fast, not too slow. Today, all of you, so Avistaram asandigdam adrudam avilambitam. You should not talk in a very high pitch. Not required. Not at a baritone where you start digging the earth along with you. It should be madhyame sware. It should be at a middle pitch. You should always have an eye contact, he says. Ankera, that is, netram vinishrutva. You should have a look at that person. Generally, people who say, I have stage fear, they say, when I look at the audience, I get that fear. Why should we fear? We should look at them. They will start even sleeping. So the best part of public speaking is you should look people directly into their eyes. They will not look here and there. Next, you should always have a surrounded look. He will not have time to scratch his nose also. So you should have a complete look. So this is what Hanuman's speech was. Says Rama. That is when Tyagaraja says, Rama, I am requesting you to speak a few sweet words to me. But look at the plight. Even when a great person like Hanuman spoke, you did not appreciate him directly. You spoke about Hanuman through Lakshmana, who were mine before you. He states, that is when Hanuman recognizes what problem Rama is facing and he tells, I will help you out, come with me. And he takes him to Sugreeva. He tells Sugreeva, this is Rama and his wife has been abducted. Sugreeva gives him the same thing, even my wife has been abducted. That is when Ram feels, in such times of calamities, you may have to form coalition government with those, even people like monkeys. So that is when many parties do not believe in coalition, they believe in coming with majority. But Rama had no option. So he had to sign an MOU with Sugreeva because Sugreeva's wife Ruma was being abducted by his elder brother Vali. On the other hand, Rama's wife Sita was abducted by Ravana, so they needed each other's help. That is when Valmiki draws an interval scene. Any movie that you go will be for 2.5 to 3 hours. At the end of 1.5 hours, they will say you go out, have popcorn and come. So that is when the director has to cut the interval scene. But the interval scene, the scene prior to the interval should be a very thrilling scene. Then only the director is achieved. If it's not a thrilling scene, people will take popcorn and walk home. They will not see the second part of the movie. So in the entire movie which was directed by Valmiki, the interval portion is when Ram comes and seeks the help of Sugreeva, knowing Sugreeva's worry as well. So they go walk around the fire. Sita Kapindraha Kshanadacharana Rajiva Hemojvala Nopamani Sugreeva Rama Pranaya Prasange Vamani Netrani Samam Spuranti. Munadi evaru ukarukkalam. Ingeda munadi mun erala. So, Sita, Kapindraha, Kshanadacharana. 3 people, Sita, Kapindraha, Kshanadacharana. 3 people had their left eyes winking, it seems, when Rama and Sugreeva went around the fire. Sita, Kapindraha, Kshanadacharana. Who is Sita? Ramapatni Sita. Her left eye winked. Kapindraha, Kapinam Indraha, Kapindraha. Kapi is a monkey. Indraha means the Lord. Kapinam Indraha, Kapindraha is Vali. Vali's left eye winked. Kshanad Acharanam, the ones who walk in the night, they are called nocturnal. Rakshasas are nocturnal. That is why Ravana is called as Kshanadacharanam, the one who walked in the night. His left eye winked. Sita, Kapindraha, Kshanadacharanam. How were their eyes? Rajiva, Hema, Ujvala, Na Upamani. Sita's eyes was like a lotus. Vali's eyes was like gold. Ravana's eyes were like the fire. Sugreeva Rama Pranaya Prasange. When Sugreeva and Ram held their palms together, Vamani Netrani Samam Spuranti. Their left eyes meet. Left in Sanskrit is Vamam. Right in Sanskrit is Dakshinam. Dakshinam in Sanskrit incidentally also means south. So, Uttara Bharatam, Dakshina Bharatam. There Dakshina indicates south. When we walk around the sanctum of the Lord, the Sannadhi of the Lord, the right hand side of the body faces the Lord. So it is called Pradakshinam. Dakshinam is right. So, Dakshinam is also right. Dakshina also means peace. When you do a idiom, Dakshina Gurgo, that doesn't mean south or right. The right thing is to say that the peace is right. So, it has so many meanings. Vamam is left. So, Vamani Netrani Samam Spuranti. Because as per Samudrika Rakshana Shastram and Shakuna Shastram, what is Shaku? Shaku, bird. Shaku is bird. The one who was protected by birds was called Shakuntala. So Shaku is bird. Shuka is parrot. Remember, Shuka is parrot, Shaku is bird. If the birds fly and you are able to kind of foretell what events may happen, it is called Shakunam. Shakuna Shastram. It is not Sagunam. We say Sagunam. Sagunam is wrong. Sagunam means good gunam. Shakunam. Anything that is being foretold without the movement of birds, with the help of deer and so on, it is called Nimittam. So, Shakuna Shastram and Nimitta Shastram tells, for the lady in the left eye thinks it is a good omen, whereas for the man it is a bad omen. When Ram and Sugreeva had decided to have an MOU, it means Ram will defeat Sugreeva, will defeat Vali. So Vali's left eye wing. If Vali was to be defeated and Sugreeva was to be made the king, he will support Ram with his monkey army, so Ravana will be with Ravana's left eye wing. If Ravana would be dead, then Sita would be rescued, so it is good times for her, so her left eye wing. Sita Kapindraha Kshanadacharana Rajiva Hemojvala Nopamani Sugreeva Rama Pranaya Prasange Vamani Netrani Samam Spuranti. They say that their eyes were like the gold, silver, fire and so on. Why should we compare? Because literature is always known to compare. Without similes you can never have poems. That is why in those days it was very important that poets used the right simile. I'll give you an example.
I do not know if I mentioned about this Kalidasa and Bhavabhuti last year. Did I? Repeat. During the times of Kalidasa, there were other great poets too, but most media will cover only Kalidasa in those days. So another poet who was equally talented as Kalidasa, called Dandi, he was angry at the way the other poets were treated by the journalists. So he immediately went and told Kalidasa, "You are a poet and I am a poet, but they always find that you are a better poet. This should not be the case. Let us go to a judge and ask him if who amongst us is a better poet." So Kalidasa and Dandi unanimously chose one age-old learned person in that city called as Bhavabhuti. So this Bhavabhuti was an age-old person who had a 5-year-old granddaughter in his house. So Kalidasa and Dandi went and knocked at the door of Bhavabhuti. Bhavabhuti opened the door. Bhavabhuti's granddaughter opened the door. She said that my grandfather has gone out, so why don't you sit outside in the Thinnai? Thinnai is an elevated platform outside the house. It is an architectural marvel. If guests come, you can make them sit, you can send them right off there. You don't have to send them inside the house. So Kalidasa was made to sit on one Thinnai, and on the other Thinnai, Dandi was made to sit. Immediately this girl asked, "What can he bring for you?" She asked Kalidasa. Kalidasa said, "Patrani Swarna Varnani Karnantayasha Lochane." Patrani, get me leaves, beetle leaves, BT modified beetle leaves. So they should be golden color. Patrani Swarna Varnani Karnantayasha Lochane. The one who has got eyes that extend till the ears, he said. She asked Dandi, "Sir, what can I get for you?" Turnam Aniyatam Churnam Purna Chandra Nibhanani. The one who has got a face as resplendent as a full moon, please bring me fast the churnam that has to be applied on the beetle leaf. So both of them said, she went inside, took the beetle leaf, took the churnam, and she was walking out. That is when her grandfather, who was returning home, noticed the granddaughter walking towards the Thinnai. He asked, "Whom are you getting this for?" The girl said, "Kavayaha Kalidasaya Dandinaha Panditasya cha." I am getting this for the best poet Kalidasa and the best grammarian Dandi. Now they received the judgment from the granddaughter, who is the best poet. How come the girl decided who amongst them was a better poet? Because a true poet will be concerned about the emotion rather than the grammar in which the sentence is construed. He may say, "We are all great poets. When we ask for water, how do we ask?" One word, Tirtham. They will understand. Instead, if I am a grammarian, how will I ask? "Oh lady who is standing before me, please fill one of the elements called water in a tumbler and walk on the other element slowly in a gait as that of a swan and walk towards me and hand it over in my hand, full stop." So this is what a grammarian will do. A poet will not be so. He will never ask, ஐந்து பூதங்களில் ஒன்றாக இருக்கக்கூடிய தண்ணீரை உடலில் ஏந்தி கொண்டு என் தாயை நீ வந்து இவ்விடத்தில் வர வேண்டும். So in those days there was a great person called Pratibhavi Bhayakaram Annagaracharya Swami. He was a great person who used to deliver discourses. So he called one person and said, "Go convey to him that this is the message. I'll tell you the message. This is in Tamil. You will be able to understand the gist of it." கீழே கிடக்கும் ஒரு குட்டையில் வயோதிகர் ஒருவர் பாகவதோத்தமர் நடந்து வரும் வேளையில் தான் கால்களில் விழுந்து தன் தேகத்திலே இவ்விடத்தில் பங்கம் செய்து கொண்டதாய் சொல்லும். This is the sentence he said, and that person who was working, who was employed in his house, said, "Sir, okay, I'll go there." Immediately the Acharya asked, "Tell me, what will you go and tell?" "Sir, can you repeat the message again?" He asked. திருக்குடந்தையில் வந்த பாகவதோத்தமர் தான் கால் வழுக்கி இந்த குட்டையில் விழுந்து தேகத்தை பங்கப்படுத்தி கொண்டதாக போய் சொல்லும். "You have got it?" he asked. "Yes, sir." கும்பகோணத்து சாமி குட்டையில விழுந்துட்டாரு. So the same sentence has been taken in an essence in a different way. Likewise, a poet will always be be concerned about the emotion. A grammarian will always be concerned about the sentence formation. Subject plus verb plus object. Subject plus verb plus indirect object plus direct object. Verb should be either in gerund or in infinitive. To should be added. Past participle should be preceded. All this a grammarian will look. What did Kalidasa say? Beetle leaves. Golden colored beetle leaves. The one who has got eyes till the ears, he never said bring. Whereas this grammarian Dandi said, please bring the churnam. So this girl's formula was, if you use a verb, you are a grammarian. If you don't use a verb, you are a poet. So she said, Kavayaha Kalidasayo Dandinaha Panditasya. So it becomes very important that we know the importance of similes. That is when we should also know how beautifully to construct sentences. In those days, there was a poet called Harsha who belonged to Kashmir. In those days, Kashmir was also infested with intellectuals. So there was one poet called as Harsha. He was a great Sanskrit poet. He came to Varanasi seeking better pastures. That is when the king employed him as a poet. But this king found that Harsha was using all his intellectual ability in framing sentences which were too long. So he said, you take a break and you calm yourself, go to a resort, think how to frame shorter sentences with better meanings. So went Harsha. That is when the king could not withstand the separation from a great poet. He asked his soldiers to go pick Harsha back. Harsha was sitting and eating vada under the shade of a bullock cart. So the soldiers asked, what are you doing? Asesha sheshamusham shishe nishe. He said in Sanskrit, I am eating the vadas that are being fried in olive made out of the leftover pulses. So he was asked to go there so that he can frame shorter, simpler sentences. But in Kannada they say, Nai Balu Dungu. So, Shubhakucha Nivavartam, Pandityam, Dambavajitam. How much ever you want to correct the tail of the dog, it is not possible. Likewise, how much ever you want to correct me, speaking irrelevant things in the Ramayana like this is mine. Now, because I have to get back to the topic. So, Sita Kavingraha Kshanada Charana. That is when Hanuman tells Sugreeva, you take Rama's help. That is when Sugreeva tells, okay, I need to test the valor of Rama. So that is when he says, these are 7 sal trees. Shala Vriksham. These Shala Vrikshams, one of each one are so strong. You know that there are certain trees in the US itself, some of the redwood trees which are so huge in structure. So each tree resembles magnificence and majestic nature. So my brother Vali used to shoot an arrow at one of the trees and it used to pierce the tree. It was so strong. If you pierce one of the trees, I will agree that you have the valor to fight with Vali. Will you do that, Rama? Asked Sugreeva. Ram now felt, see, such normal people are giving tests to him. Who can perform tests on Ram's valor? But when you are again a part of a coalition government, you may have to form these kind of programs. So Rama said, okay, I will do it. And these trees were not in one line. There were points in different, see in graph, if you technically see. Some points can be connected on a line. If points cannot be connected, it is called a line of best fit. So that is when you draw a line that may not actually connect those points, but is the best point that is equidistant from most points. That is called the line of best fit in graphical mode. So Ram wanted to ensure that he shoots an arrow, but he thought the arrow should not trace the path of best fit. It should pierce every tree. So he programmed the arrow in such a way that it would hit the tree. That is when Kamban says, Yelu Mamaram Purvi, Kulvulagam Nebri, Nishakum, Yelu Mudu, Kukuri, அடுத்து அந்த 7 இலாமையான் நீண்டது அவ்விராகவன் பகடி 7 கண்டவின் உருவமாய் ஒழிவது அன்று இன்னும் 7 வேலையும் உலகம் மேல் உயர்ந்தன 7 குன்றும் இருப்பிடம் எழுவும் புறவி 7 மங்கையர் எழுவரும் நடுங்கினக்கென 7 பெற்றதோ இக்கணக்கு இலக்கணம் என்னை. How beautifully says. The arrow was meant to shoot the 7 sal trees alone, but the arrow kept on going after piercing the 7. And it started attacking the Saptarishis. That is when the Saptarishis thought that they should survive and pulled one more Rishi into their branch to say they were 8 in number. Sapta Kannikas did that. 7 worlds did that. Then they started contemplating why is the arrow of Rama going aimlessly. Then they thought Ram must have not programmed it this way. What should have Ram programmed originally? Let it go and shoot the 7 sal trees. but he must have forgotten the sal and said, let it go shoot those which have 7. So it started attacking those things that were in 7. So his arrow was so powerful. They say, Ati Prithunda, Bahu Vitati Giri Dharani, Vivara Yuga Padudaya, Vivara Chitra Punkha Vaichitriya. That is when Sugreeva goes and calls his brother Vali for a duel. Edutturappi vandu por eduttiyer radappadan nadittalal kadottival madittedurangu tol urangu Vali sevi tulaikane. That is when Vali, who was sleeping with his wife Tara, was amazed at how the way Sugreeva called and got angry. That is when Tara tells, don't do this because I have heard from sources that Sugreeva has befriended the king, the prince of Ayodhya called Rama, who has got all the power. Be very careful. I have also heard that he has got Shankha Chakra Mudra in his hand. So be very careful. Annadu kettavan arase ayavarku innuir nadappu amaindu iraman enpavan. So be very careful. But Vali said, I know that Rama will never ever interfere in other kingdoms' internal matter. So I am confident that Ram will not would have befriended Sugreeva. So he goes and fights with Sugreeva. That is when Ram garlanded Sugreeva with a Gaja Pushpa Mala. Because Vali and Sugreeva were exact ditto copies. So if Ram ends up shooting Sugreeva, what may happen? So that is when they go and fight. That is when Lakshmana asks, Rama, what happened? Why should Vali fight against Sugreeva? That is when he tells the story of what had happened. There was a demon king called as Maya. He had 2 sons called Dundubhi and Mayavi. There was one lady who was too beautiful a damsel. Vali was also interested in her, and Maya's son Mayavi was also interested in her. So both of them, they fought for this woman. So Vali, who was very much attached to his brother Sugreeva, said, I am fighting with this Mayavi inside the cave of a mountain. I will go. After 28 days, if I don't return from the cave, assume that I would have been dead at the hands of this Mayavi and close this cave. So at the end of 28 days, Sugreeva, thinking that Vali had departed, he closes the entry of this cave with a stone. He comes back to his kingdom, and that is when his ministers state that it is high time that you take the reins of the kingdom and you become the next Raja. Sugreeva accepts. A few days later, Vali comes and states, how dare you? You were waiting for that instance where I would be defeated and I will be departed for you to take in the reins of this kingdom. So I admonish you, and he threw Sugreeva out of that throne. That is when Sugreeva said, Radha, I am not with the intention of taking this kingdom from you. I thought that you were dead. I am doubly happy that you are alive now. Please, you rule this kingdom. You don't have to give me the kingdom, said Vali. Sugreeva fell at his feet, but Vali did not accept. The moment Vali excommunicated Sugreeva, he should have also sent Sugreeva's wife Ruma out. But what he did, he seized Ruma and put her in his custody and sent his brother alone. So when Sugreeva went, he took along Hanuman, Jambavan, Nala and Nila, the other monkeys and one bear who were supportive of him. That is when Sugreeva repents that his wife is away from him and seeks Rama's help. So this flashback is narrated by Rama to Lakshmana, and that is when Vali starts fighting with Sugreeva, understanding that it is the end of the day. Ram shoots an arrow at Vali's chest. That is when Vali falls on the ground and he says, who has done this? So he immediately takes the arrow. Rama ennai semmai ser Namam tannai kangalal theriya kandan. He saw Rama, the 2-lettered word, inscribed on that arrow. Now we have to understand, in those days also we had customized arrows. We get customized t-shirts and mugs, right? In those days, if you are a warrior, you will customize your name on that arrow. So he saw Rama written on it. That is when he calls Rama and tells, Kulinaha sattva sampannaha tejasvi charitavrataha Ramaha karunavedi cha prajanam chakiterataha sanukrosho mavotsaha samayajna dridhavrataha ityetad sarvabhutani kathayanti yasho bhuvi. Hey Rama, I have heard that you are very compassionate, handsome, charming, obedient, sincere, honest, non-interfering, great rule-adhering person. But today I see you in a different way. This is called Nindastuti. You know what Nindastuti is? You may end up telling that you're praising him, but it may be in the form of admonishing him. One person doesn't come to our house. That means what? He never turns up. For example, some may say, there is something wrong there. So, the tone and tenor in which a person says itself will determine whether he is being sarcastic or being realistic about his appreciation. Likewise, he says, I have heard that you are a very honest and non-interfering person. Good, I am seeing the other side of you. Then he says, probably it is very unique, Rama, when one has a kingdom and the kingdom is bestowed upon him and finally that is being seized, you happily part with that kingdom. Your father wanted to gift you the kingdom, but your stepmother wanted to take the kingdom away from you, but you parted with that kingdom very happily. That is a unique characteristic of you. But today, you are coming all the way to the forest, killing another third person and seizing his kingdom. The kingdom that came to you, you left. But the kingdom of somebody else, you are taking. கூட்டு ஒருவரையும் வேண்டாத கொற்றவர் பெற்ற தாரை கூட்டிய செல்வம் ஆங்கே தம்பிக்கு கொடுத்து போந்து நாட்டு ஒரு கருமமும் செய்தாய் எம்பிக்கு இவ்வரசை நல்கி காட்டு ஒரு கருமம் செய்தாய் கருமம் தான் இதன்மேல் உண்டோ. But I have a few doubts, Rama. They say that you are born as a son to Dasharatha and you are born as the elder brother to the rule-adhering Bharata. Are you the one, the same Rama born to Dasharatha? வாழ்வையும் மரவும் காத்து மண்ணுயிர் துறந்தவள்ளல் தூயவன் மைந்தனே நீ பரதன் முன் தோன்றினாயே. Then Rama, I wish to understand one thing. I have committed no sin against you. I have not hurt you. I have not hurt your wife. I have not hurt your father. I have not hurt your brothers. I have not hurt your mothers. I have not hurt any of the citizens of Ayodhya. When I have not hurt any of you and your kingdom, how can you come and attack me? Vishayeva pureva te yada papam karomyaham najatvam ajaneham kasmatam hamsa kilvisham. No, that a king is the one should always forgive. If I have ever committed sins, you should have forgiven me, but you are punishing me even without my knowledge. Isn't this wrong? Samadanam kshama dharmaha satyam dhriparagramo parthivanam gunarajan dandashyapyapakarishu. No, one more thing, Rama. If you think that I am a monkey, I am an animal who can be hunted. No, that animals are being hunted in the forest, but they are being hunted for a variety of reasons. The elephant is being hunted for the ivory. The tiger is being hunted for its teeth and its claws. The deer is being hunted for its skin. The sheep is being hunted for its flesh. But I don't fall under any of the categories. Because a monkey doesn't have a skin that can be termed worthy of protection. Monkey doesn't have flesh that can be consumed. Probably Bali was not aware of China. So, monkey's flesh cannot be consumed. Monkey doesn't have nails and claws that can be preserved in the GRT jewelry through a chain. Monkey doesn't have ivory as that of an elephant. But why did you kill me? Pancha panchanakaha bhakshya pancha panchanaka bhakshya Brahma Kshatrena Raghava. There are only 5 animals that can be consumed on certain days. Shalyagaha is rhinoceros. Shvavidhaha, which is porcupine. You know the porcupine, right? That can also be consumed, it says. But don't ask me how. Shastra tells. Godha iguana. Next, Shashaha, which is the hare, which is the rabbit. Next, Kurmascha Panchamaha, the tortoise, which can be hunted. And these can be consumed by those classes who may want to consume them on certain days cooked in a certain fashion. If then the Rajogunam and Tamogunam of the flesh will not do any harm to them. So this is what they state. But don't ask me for more details about this. This is stated in Ramayana, so I have stated. So what Bali ultimately says is, when I am an animal and don't fall into any of these categories, why an animal can be hunted for? Why did you hunt me? Then he continues saying, your wife has been abducted by a Rakshasa, Ravana. And you know that Ravana has abducted Sita. Now, in your mission, in the search of Sita, if you can't find that Rakshasa, does it mean that you can kill any monkey that comes by? Celebration, that is why they say, Arakkar vor Avishitu Kadivare, Adarku Veror Urakkirattu Arashai Kolla Manunari Kuritundo. Does Manudharma Shastra tell you to kill some other person who may be a third party and who may not be involved in a crime that is meted against you? Then he says, probably I know the reason why you have been so mercilessly killing me. Because Sita, the mercy, compassionate woman who should be besides you, is missing. That is why you have lost your senses and you have killed me. One more thing, he also says, Rama, I now believe that this kingdom belongs to me. You belong to Ikshvaku Kulam. There is Ayodhya, this is Kishkinda, and you have no rights to interfere in the internal matter of Kishkinda. So many accusations, Vali throws volley of questions at Rama. That is when Lakshmana intervenes and tells, Vali, I wish to answer the questions. That is when Rama says, wait, I will answer them. Vali, are you done with your accusations or you have more time? Because a good speaker will always give others the first chance to speak. Listen passionately, completely, contemplate and then ask questions. Tadvidhi pranivadena pariprashnena sevaya. First you should understand. First listen to Ramayana and then ask questions. Today what has happened is, questioning comes first. Whether you understand that work or not comes later. First, if you read that work passionately, completely, without any prejudice, you will yourself seek answers to it. That is why there is one rule by Stephen Covey that says, listen first to understand and then be understood. In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the 5th rule says, seek first to understand and then be understood. First, listen to someone and then you make the other person listen. So Rama said, Vali, have you spoken? Vali said, all my accusations on you is over. Rama, it's now for you to answer. Rama says, Ikshvakunam yam bhumi sashaila vanakarana. You asked me, Vali, if I belong to Ayodhya and you belong to Kishkinda, how can I interfere in your internal matter? This can be true if your kingdom and my kingdom are mutually exclusive. Those of you who may remotely remember set theory in mathematics, 2 diagrams, we draw a Venn diagram to indicate set A, set B. If they don't have anything in common, they are called mutually exclusive. I belong to Kishkinda, you belong to Ayodhya, we don't have anything in common. This is what you stated. If it had been that way, then your accusation is right. But remember that Kishkinda is a subset of Ayodhya. Ayodhya is a larger set. Kishkinda is a subset. How will you know? Have you ever spoken to your auditor? Asked Rama. Vali said, I don't have time for all that. No, that your auditor files the returns, income tax returns, and all the money is being deposited, tax amount is being deposited to a Ayodhya branch. So your kingdom comes under my jurisdiction. So I have every right to question you. So we are not mutually exclusive. You are a subset of my Rajyam. So I have the rights to ask. Ikshvakunamiyam bhumihi sashaila vanakarana mridavakshi manushyanam nigraha nugraheshvapi. You spoke about Bharata, my brother. You asked, Rama, were you born before the rule adhering and the obedient and the honest and the sincere Bharata? You have no rights to speak about my brother Bharata. Because when the kingdom was seized from my hands by my stepmother Kaikeyi and handed over to the hands of Bharata, he could have very well ruled the kingdom with all opulence and he could have lived in the rich and pomp manner. But he refused to do so, and today he is bearing the brunt for the sins that his mother has committed. And he is ruling the kingdom from the outskirts of Ayodhya called as Nandigramam. Vali, you have no rights, because when your brother sought repentance and fell at your feet seeking forgiveness, you did not grant it. Whereas my brother, he left the kingdom for my sake. So you have no rights to even utter the word of Bharata. Tam palayati dharmatman bharataha satyavanujaha dharmagamartha sarvajnaha nigraha anugrahirataha. But you may ask, Rama, now Bharata is ruling the kingdom at the biggest of your padukas. How come you come and question me? Remember, Bali, that my brother Bharata single-handedly cannot manage all the taluks and provinces that come under him. So he has deployed me to come and check if everything is fine in Kishkinda. So I have come at the supervision of my brother. So I have every right to question you. Then he says, one more thing. Bali, Shastram tells, you were asking me, is it right to hunt any animal? You were speaking about Manudharma Shastram. You were talking about rules. But the same rule book states, any person, even if a person has committed the crime of chopping his own mother, comes and falls at the feet, then that person should be forgiven. Anybody, whoever be it, if they fall at one's feet seeking Sharanagati, they should be given asylum and protection. This is what Shastra says. When you spoke about Shastra, the same rule book, when you quoted page number 76, I am quoting page number 75. 75 states that you should give asylum. When your brother Sugreeva inadvertently, unknowingly took over the reins of the kingdom, and after having known that you have come with your physical help, he fell at your feet seeking your forgiveness. You should have forgiven him. When he fell at your feet and you kicked him away, you have not followed the rules of Sharanagati. So, as a person who adheres to rules, I have every right to question you. And if questioning means to hit an arrow at you, yes, I will do it. Sugreevena cha me sakhyam Lakshmanena yatha Dararajya nimittam cha Nishreyasagaram same. No, one more thing, Bali, that for a normal person in a normal family, there are brothers. The elder brother should treat his younger brother's wife as his own daughter. Because Jeshto Bhrata Pitra Samaha, that means his younger brother is like the son, then the daughter-in-law is like his daughter. Whereas when your younger brother Sugreeva was being excommunicated by you for your hasty decision from Kishkinda, you did not send your brother Sugreeva along with his wife Ruma. You seized Ruma and you mishandled her. When you do not know how to respect your brother's wife, you don't have any right to question me if I am following the rules or not, he said. Aurasi bhaginim vapi bharyam vapyanujasya yaha prachareta narakkamat tasya dando vadhasmritaha asyatvam dharamanasya sukrivasya mahatmanaha rumayam vattase kamat sushayam papamagarmad. Then he tells, Bali, I will give you another reason. You state that I should not question. But remember, as a king who adheres to rules, even if your kingdom supposedly did not belong to our kingdom, as a Kshatriya, I have the right to question the rights of a weeping lady. Ruma is crying at your hands. I have the right and it is my responsibility to bestow that upon you. And today you are telling me, Bali, that Rama, these are the rules to be followed. But then Bali said, he made one point. He said, see, animals, we don't have the concept of husband and wife. See, if you look at National Geographic Channel, it doesn't mean this Mrs. Lion belongs only to that Mr. Lion. They don't have that concept of Pativrata Dharma. So I can go out with the wife of my brother, said Bali. That is when Rama posed. He said, see, if it were the unlearned, illiterate, uneducated monkeys which are speaking, it is okay. Today you are doing Sandhya Vandanam. Because Bali did Sandhya Vandanam, so you know Dharma Shastram. You also know what Manudharma Shastram is. Does a normal animal speak Manudharma Shastram, Bali? But you speak. So in animal category itself, you have emerged as the one which has got a better brain. If you see dogs, normal dogs may not be able to smell. But if you go to the airport dogs, they have been trained to smell. So from the normal dogs, these dogs have acquired a special talent. So if you have to bucket them as per Six Sigma, you will not bucket them also in these normal dogs. You will call them the trained dogs. So likewise, you are an educated monkey. So for you, you know the rule that anybody else's wife should not be handled. So don't give me the concept that you belong to the animal category so you could mishandle your wife. Okay, Bali, let me take it this way. That you are a monkey and you belong to the monkey category. And in animals, especially the monkeys, the concept of this wife or that husband doesn't exist. Then if you believe that you're a monkey can be hunted. So I have hunted a monkey, so what is wrong? I have got a license to hunt. If you claim yourself to be a monkey, I have hunted you. But if you claim yourself to be an educated monkey, I have hunted you, because despite being educated, you are not acting as per education. So I can hunt you that way. Tasmat pammihato yuddhe maya banena vanara ayuddhayan pratiyuddhyan va yasmat shakha mrugohyasmi. Now, you should understand one thing. Why did Rama shoot Vali from the behind of a tree? This is a major question. Even today there are so many debates happening. 3 men will be seated this side, 3 women will be seated this side. They will start researching why the city of Tappa. Then Solomon Papaya will give a judgment. So this is how most debates happen. But you should remember one thing, that the accusation has been thrown by Bali on Rama. Rama is the accused. Rama defends, and finally Bali agrees. He says, yes, it is a mistake that I have committed. After you have explained it to me, I have realized my mistake. Thank God, Rama. But my only worry is, I would have got this enlightenment a few days before. Why did I get it so late? So the person who has thrown the accusations has understood that he is the one who has committed crimes. So simple, close judgment. This case has been closed. So it is very futile and very brainless on our part to open a closed and shut case and bring it to light and saying whether Ram did it right or not. Nevertheless, there are questions that crop in our mind. Question is, if Vali had done mistake, why did Rama shoot him directly? Now comes another reason stated by Tulasidas in Ramacharitamanus. He tells that Vali had one boon. The opponent's balam, strength, half of it will come to Vali. If I am fighting against Vali, we are starting with 100 score. Now, my strength of 100 will get divided into 2. First 50, second 50. 50 will go to Vali's side. So now it will be 150 is to 50. So this is the general rule. So that is why Balam used to go half. So he was called Bali. This is what Ramacharitamanus states. But Bali was not called Bali for that reason. He was Bali. It is not Bali. In North India, especially in the belt of Angadesham to Magadadesham, there is a trend to convert ba to ba. They will never say Chakravarti. They will say Chakraborti. They will never say Vidya. They will say Vidya. They will never say Vrindavanam. They will say Vrindavanam. So Bali has become Bali. Point number 1. Second thing, if we go by the rule that half of the opponent's balam will come to Bali, if Ram is fighting against Bali, the rule will change. Because if I have one laddu, I take half out of it. How much will remain? Half. If I take one sweet, Ferrero Rocher, I divide it into half. I take half. How much will remain? Half. If I have to light lamps in my house, I take fire from this lamp and light the next. How much fire will be left? Full fire. So, the example of Laddu and Ferrero Rocher will apply to us. If I stand before Bali, half the balam will go. But Rama is like fire. How much ever you take from him, he will still remain Purnam. Purnamara, Purnam idam, Purnad, Purnamudachade. What is whole? This is whole. How much ever you take from the whole remains the whole. So, he remains Purnam. So, the rule of half going this side will not apply to Rama and Bali. So, the reason cited by Tulasidas is not logically tenable. Then what is the reason that can be given? That is when we need to understand the entire world is a stage. I never stated this. Shakespeare stated this. If you remember, As You Like It, that's a beautiful work by Shakespeare where there is a character, a cynic, an eccentric character called King Jakes who speaks this. My great-grandfather's father. So great square grandfather. So great-grandfather, not even great-grandfather, great-grandfather's father. So great grandfather, Yeldu Tata, not even Kollu, Yeldu Tata. He was an advocate in 1890s and 1900s in Vellore, and he had studied in London, and then he came back as an advocate. He was practicing as an advocate. He was a great Sanskrit scholar, and he used to deliver Valmiki Ramayana. And he used to take honorary lectures on Shakespeare's works at Auxilium College, Vellore. So he was taught Shakespearean plays by one of the descendants of Shakespeare way back in Europe. So it seems he used to narrate one incident. This incident was narrated to me by my grandmother, who happened to hear one of the sessions. So it's like a Woodward's Bright Water advertisement. So she heard this. It seems Shakespeare used to create a work and used to explain it to his students. This is called Arangetram in Tamil. Whenever you want to showcase your dance art, it is Arangetram. Music art, Arangetram. So he used to do an Arangetram of his works. He made an Arangetram of this work that he had composed, and all the students were very eager to understand what could be the name of this work. Sir, can you tell us what is the name of this work? What would you like to call it? They asked. And then Shakespeare turned back and said, as you like it. So as you like it, you can call it. So this was as you like it. And in that there is an eccentric character called King Jakes who delivers a speech. He says, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women mere players. They have their entries and exits. So he calls this world a play. That is why in Brahma Sutram it is said, Lokattu Leela Kaivalyam. The entire world is a Leela, a play for the God. Bhagavad Ramanuja states, Akhila Bhuvana Janma Stheva Bhanga Adi Leele. Kamban states in Ramayana, Ulagam Yavayum Tamula Akkalu Neleviruthalu Ninkalu Ningala Alagila Vidayattu Udayaravar Talaivar Andavarke Saranameli. So the world is a play, and it has got many entries and exits. That is why Vedanta Deshika states that the world is a stage which has got a screen. The screen is the illusion that the Lord creates using called Maya. So when he opens the screen, the first act is of Matsyavatara. He closes the screen. Then comes Kurmavatar. Devona Shubhamadanotu Dashaka Nirvadhayan Bhumika. He states in Dashavatara Stotra. Likewise, the world is a stage. There needs to be a director for the play. Who is the director? The Lord is the director. The Devas, the celestials, Indra, Vayu, Agni, Varuna, Surya, they were all the celestials who are the stage artists. So they all initially went and sought the refuge of Lord Narayana. The first day, all the Devas went and sought the refuge of Narayana. Siddhagandharva Yakshaha Tataspam Sharanam Gataha. They went and sought the refuge, stating that, O Lord, who reclines on the serpent couch in the Milky Ocean, please know that demons like Ravana and Kumbhakarna are tormenting us. Please annihilate them and restore normalcy and peace to this world. They surrendered. The Lord said, don't worry, I will be born as Rama, as a normal human being, and you all will be born as monkeys to assist me. So Indra was born as Vali, Surya, sun god, was born as Sugreeva, Vayu was born as Hanuman, Vishwakarma was born as Nala, Agni was born as Neela, Bear King was Jambavan, so on and so forth. So all the celestials were born as Va Nara to assist Rama, who was born as Nara. Ram was born as Nara Purusha, human. To assist the Nara, the ones with the Va Nara were born to assist the Lord. So what should Sugreeva do? He has to assist Ram. What should Hanuman do? He has to assist Ram, because that is their original pact. But you know what Vali did? When Vali said, you remember just a few minutes ago, Vali threw a volley of accusations at Ram. He said, Rama, I know why you are killing me, because this compassionate Sita is not with you. So Vali was aware that Sita was not with Rama. He also says in Ramayana, Rama, if you really wanted some person to come and rescue Sita, why should you have a pact with Sugreeva? You could have had a pact with me. So Vali was also aware that Sita was abducted. Vali was also aware that she was abducted by Ravana. And then why did he not act? Because as per Ramayana, Vali and Ravana had one pact. Vali and Ravana had a pact because Ravana was also behind women, so was Vali. Vali said, see, if I handle women, you don't interfere. If you handle women, I will not interfere. So this was a pact between them. So this kind of a acrimonious pact was signed between Ravana and Vali. So that is why Vali, despite knowing that Sita was crying for help and being carried and abducted by Ravana in Pushpaka Vimanam, he did not resort to help Sita at all. Today he is questioning Rama. What was the initial dialogue? The dialogue was, the celestials have to help Rama. But now what is Indra doing? Indra as Vali is going with the enemy, with Ravana. Now imagine that there is a drama, 2-day drama. Day 1, it is the scene of Silaparigaram. You know Silaparigaram, it's a beautiful Tamil work by Idangovadikar. It talks about a person called Kovalan who is married to one very chasteful lady called as Kannagi. So on the first night, Idangovadikar describes the scene. So this is day 1 in that drama. That lady is carrying a pot of milk and she brings it to Kovalan. Kovalan says, the one who has got a thing hit. This is his dialogue over. Day 2. Day 2 it is Kamba Ramayana. The same person who acted as Kovalan the first day is Lakshmana today. The same lady who acted as Kannagi yesterday, the last previous day, is today Sumitra, Lakshmana's mother. Yesterday it was the relationship between husband and wife. Today it is that of mother and son. What should the son say? Mother, I need to go to the forest along with my brother. Instead, the person is forgetting and saying, then what will the director do? Director is standing behind the scene. He is now worried that this character is uttering the wrong dialogue. So he will not want to keep this character for more time on the stage. So what he will do is, without anybody's knowledge, he will put his hand, pull the character by his shirt behind the screen. Likewise, this world is a stage and the scene enacted is the celestials go and surrender at the feet of the Lord. The Lord tells Indra will be born as Vali to assist me as Rama. But Vali has forgotten the dialogue and he has had a pact with Ravana. So in this world, which is the stage, the director being Rama, he did not want to reveal himself to the public that my character whom I have trained is not doing his job. So he quietly stood behind the tree and pulled him inside. So this is the reason why he stood behind the tree. He wanted to prove that his character is not doing justice. So as a director, he had to take this effort. That is when Vali says, Pratyuvajadadoram Prajanirvanareshwaraha Yaditvamatyanarasreshta Tadadathaivan samshayaha. Please forgive me. Ta enna urai nalgi tarmamum taravum sharadum ni enna nindanambi nedinin nokamum nermahi. That is when he tells, my son Angada should be coronated as a higher apparent. Don't worry, said Rama. Then he said, please forgive me for the mistakes that I have committed. Then he says, forgive my brother Sugreeva as well. Rama asked, why should I forgive your brother? Because my brother Sugreeva would have promised you that he will help you with monkey's army. He will not do it. Rama asked, why? Because he has the bad habit of drinking. He says, he has the bad habit of drinking. That is what they say, Yaro pechu, vidinjale pochu. So he will forget what he has promised. So if he forgets, don't get angry at him. He is my dear brother, forgive him. That is when a Tamil poet called Vedanayakam Pillai. He states what are the ill effects of drinking in Tamil verse. Kakai, Kuyil, Kokku, Kurandu, Karanan, Vibhishanan, Alvar, Adangiya, Pane. In villages, you don't get proper drinks. You get it in the form of a country liquor called as Kallir. It will be in a huge pot. So, Vedanayakam Pillai talks about this pot. He says the person who drinks, he will have 6 members inside him. Kakai, Kuyil, Kokku, Kurandu, Karnan, Vibhishanan, Alvar, Adangiya, Pane. Kakai. Because the person who goes to drink first will be vigilant if somebody is looking at him. So he will hold that of a crow and check if somebody is looking at him. Kakai. Next, He will go there and start singing after he drinks. Kuil. Next, Kokku. He will keep looking at one bottle like crane. Korangu. He will start jumping from one place to another. Karnan. Whether he has property or not, he will become jealous. Now, so that is Karnan. And the last one is Vibhishanan. He will not be able to stand, he will fall at the feet of the opponent, so it is Vibhishana. So, Kakai, Kuil, Kokku, Karnan, Vibhishanan, Alvaradangiyapani states Vedanayakam Pillai to describe the ill effects of drinking. All this was present in Sugreeva, so Bali says, why don't you bless and forgive my brother? That is when the Lord says it is okay. And Tara comes. Now, the moment Bali dies, Tara comes in anger. She wants to come and admonish Rama. However, said and done, her husband is dead. So she wants to admonish. In those days, Periyavachan Pillai, 800 years back, a commentator, a massive, a great commentator on Tamil Prabandham, he states, when Kamsa was dead, his wife Asti and Prapti, they took Kannir Podi and they started crying. You know what Kannir Podi is? Glycerin. He says that the wives of Kamsa, when he was dead, they applied glycerin and started crying. Because what do at least in the media, even if they are happy internally, they have to cry. So they applied glycerin in cheeks. So in those days also it existed. So Bali's wife Tara comes to admonish Rama. But the moment she sees Rama, Prameyascha Durasadascha Jitendriyascha Uttama Dharmikascha Akshaya Kirtischa Vichakshanascha Kshitikshamavan Kshatajova Maksha. This is one shloka. This is called Tara Stuti. In Ramayanam, the beautiful stutis are Shurpanaka Stuti, Tara Stuti, Mandodari Stuti. The wife of Ravana, Mandodari, she praises Rama. The wife of Bali, Tara praises Rama. The sister to Ravana, Shurpanaka praises Rama. Yesterday we saw Tarunau, Rupa Sampannau, Sukumarau, Mahavarau, Pundalika Visalakshau, Chira Krishna Chirambarau. This is the verse that Shurpanaka praised Rama. Today, Tara tells, Tvam Aprameyascha. Rama, you are beyond anybody's imagination. Tvam Aprameyascha, Durasadascha. You are so powerful. Jitendriyascha Uttama Dharmikascha. Jita Indriyascha. Jita in Sanskrit is to win. Indriyam is senses. We can never win over the senses, is what Krishna tells. It is a very tough process. See, imagine, we are now delivering the lecture. And in the kitchen, they are making veggie. First, you have to take jaggery. And generally, traditionally, we make one sweet in Vaishnava Sampradaya called Akara addition. That is a very typical sweet. You will have to mix rice and pulses in the same ratio and add water and milk proportionately, and you should let them steam. Then you should get mashed very well. Then you should add condensed milk over and then jaggery, and you should not add ghee to this. You should add this to the ghee. Whatever you are making, you should add this to the ghee. So then you have to add badam and cashew. The ratio of 1 grain of rice, you should have 1 badam. So at that ratio you have to add. So if someone makes it in the kitchen with all this proportion, and you have to add 1 pinch of jarika. If you know what jarika, nutmeg, nutmeg. You have to add jarika in a certain akara version. So imagine that smell is coming. However good or bad the lecture is, when you are smelling it, your nose, your indriyam will say, Second, imagine in many places they will not say, so you are going to deliver for 2 hours, they say, yes. People have to keep looking at you. I said, I can't help it. If somebody else, good looking person were sitting here, then you can keep looking. Now they'll say, no sir, we want to make a PowerPoint. You sit on one side, let the PowerPoint go. Then what will happen? More than listening, you will be looking at the PowerPoint alone. So your eye is the second indriyam which will get disturbed. Next, Sattam. If a child cries, so that is when he will feel that there is a disturbance. So here is the third indriyam. Now imagine there is no fan, it is absolutely pitch dark and hot. hot and heat is at its peak, then you will start sweating. So skin becomes a impediment. So 5 senses with which we claim we understand and relish the world become impediments when you have to show devotion to the Lord. When you are devoted to the Lord and want to recite Vishnu Sahasranamam, somebody will ring the doorbell and you hear and you go and open. When you want to do it, then you will smell the milk boiling, because milk's property is it will never boil when you look at it. Only when you turn your head to say it will boil. This is what Niti Shastra tells. Did I tell you about this on the first day? Niti Shatakam, Bhartrihari talks in one verse. Milk and water are very good friends. That is why they always stay together. There is always water content in milk. If there is no water content, we add water content traditionally in our country. And we will make it white water. So there will be milkness and there will also be waterness. Now, both of them have been mixed. Now when you put it on a stove, what happens? Because of the heat, the fire generates, what happens is the water content in the solution gets evaporated. So milk is being separated from its close friend water. Now because of that, the milk gets really angry and vexed up and it starts boiling. It comes out. But now you will have to let it calm. So you take little water and sprinkle on it. So it is united with its friend, so it goes and settles. So this is what Bhartrihari states in Niti Shatakam. Look at the way they have designed. So likewise, you have certain instances where we feel that senses are of a great trouble. That is when the Tara tells, Jitendriyaha, you have won over your senses, Rama, because I have known that the great celestial Indra also fell prey to his senses and went behind the wife of Gautama Rishi called Ahalya. Even Chandra, Somadeva, went behind the wife of Brihaspati called Tara. Your father has married so many times and he has sent you to the forest because he fell short of the senses of his dear wife Kaikeyi. I thought that you would have also been so, but today I realize that when your wife has been abducted, before you could rescue her, you are fighting for the rights of somebody else's wife. So you are the one who has won over senses, Jitendriyaha. Next she says, Uttama Dharmikascha. Whatever I am saying is not the explanation I am giving. For this one verse which Tara appreciates Rama, Periyavachan Pillai has commented for 40 pages to understand the meaning of this. So he says, Uttama Dharmikaha. Who is Uttama Dharmikaha? Adhama Dharmikaha. The one who is a very low mortal is the one who will want to experience joy by giving sorrow to somebody else. We call it sadism, one who takes pleasure in giving sadness to the others. The other one is a Madhyama Dharmikaha, who says, let there be joy for others, let there be joy for me. But Uttama Dharmikaha is the one who feels, before I get happy, the others should feel happy. That is why, before Ram could get happy by marrying Sita, he wanted to ensure that Gautama Maharishi is happy with Ahalya. Before he could join with Sita and be happy, he wanted to bring Sugreeva and Ruma together. So he is called Uttama Dharmikascha, Akshayat Kirtischa, Kshidikshanascha, Kshidikshamava, Kshatajopamaksha. You are the one who is an embodiment of all patience, she says. That is when Rama says, please coronate Sugreeva as the next Raja, and he tells Lakshmana, you go inside the city and coronate. Because Ram had vowed that he will not do Pattina Pravesham. He will not get inside a city. That is why he did not coronate Vibhishana. He did not coronate Vali. He asked Lakshmana to do so. And he would also ensure that like Bharata, he would stay in outskirts. If at all, by any chance, you have the opportunity to visit Kerala, there are 13 Divya Deshams celebrated by the Alvars and 13 Abhimanasthalams. We take people. Once we took them to the Nalambalam. You know what Nalambalam is? During the month of July and August, Adi Masam, it is called Ramayana Masam in Kerala. They will recite Ramayana in this 1 month. There are 4 temples dedicated to the 4 brothers. Triprayar Raman. Triprayar, Thiru becomes Tri in Malayalam. So Tirupayar becomes Triprayar. It is closer to Trishur. This is a temple where Rama is celebrated. Next is Irignala Kuda. It is also called Kudal Manikam. The Lord is called Sangameshwaran or Bharatan, where Bharata is. Third, near Ernakulam there is a place called Tirupuzhikalam, where Lord Lakshmana is. Near Irinyalakuda there is one small temple called Payamal, where Shatrughna is. The names may be tough, but remember, Triprayar, Raman, Irinyalakuda, Kudalmanikam, Sangameshwaran, Bharatan, Tirupuzhikalam, Lakshmanan, Payamal, Shatrughnan. If you take a car early in the morning, with the evening, you can complete all the 4 temples. And it is still a custom in Kerala. In this Bharata temple, Irinyalakuda, it is a huge temple of close to 20 acres. Huge temple, Kerala temple. In this temple, since it is Bharata, who is actually a replica of the Bharata in Nandigramam, in that temple alone, you will not find Bharata sporting any ornaments. He will have only Pattabhishekam, only Chandanam. And the prasadam which is served to him is Shutta Katrika. You know Shutta Katrika? See, it is very tough for me to translate all this information. Chawar to brinjal. You get certain brinjals which are large in size for it to be charred. You have to keep it on the gas stove directly and turn dark. Then you have to peel the dark skin and then you get the pulp that is called the brinjal pulp or ashadi. We call it ashadi in Tamil. Ashadi also means people who are not smart. But the smartness lies in making this this ashadi. So this is the prasadam that is served for Bharata in the temple. Why I am telling you this is Bharata also lived the life of an ascetic in Nandigramam. So in Rama he asked Lakshmana to go and coronate Sugreeva. He said, Sugreeva, you need to supply me with your monkey's army. But I know that now it is monsoon season, so you cannot send. 4 months I will give you time. After that you come. 4 months Rama and Lakshmana were inside the cave of a mountain. Every night Rama would get up and say, Ha Side! He used to cry. That is when Lakshmana felt, see how much of love he has towards Sita. 4 months were over. There was no sign of Sugreeva turning. Because what was he busy in? So, now, Rama is upset with Sugreeva's not keeping up his promise. So he tells Lakshmana, you go and remind Sugreeva of the promise that he has made. So Lakshmana walks like an angry snake. The moment Lakshmana comes so angrily, the monkeys start running hither and thither. They are worried when they look at Lakshmana, actually spilling out sparks of fire from his eyes. Because he is Adisesha avatar. Adisesha can send out virulent poison from his fangs. If you want to see this, I will mention another temple. Near Pudukottai, there is one temple in Tamil Nadu called as Thirumeyyam. Note this temple's name. Thirumeyyam. This is one of the 108 shrines. The Lord is called Satyagirinathar. Beautiful temple inside a cave. If you get to see certain temples in the south of Tamil Nadu, you will be amazed at the architecture. You will be amazed when 2,500 years ago, when they had no technological advancement, how could they have created such mammoth monolith pillars? Single stone built pillars. Everything will be a masterpiece. Today we have so much of technology, that is fine. But in those days when they had no technology, you should see the stone cut work. You will fall in love with that architecture and you will want to stay in the temple forever. There are such temples. Probably in a session for that I can talk about those temples and that architecture. Srirangam alone has 21 gopurams and 78 sannadhis, which 8 types of architecture. If you have to explain each sannadhi, you should stay in Srirangam for 1 month. Go to 1 month sannadhi. If you go for 1 day, 2 hours, you cannot enjoy the temple at all. He states even 800 years before, there used to be people who used to come inside the temple in horse race and run away. So we should stay in the temple to realize what kind of architecture we have had. Nevertheless, this Thirumeyyam, once you get inside the temple, you will find inside the cave there is a huge sculpted tableau Ranganatha. It will be extending for over 25 feet. And it is a beautiful depiction of how Madhukaitapa, the 2 demons, wanted to abduct Bhuma Devi. So Bhuma Devi goes and seeks the refuge of Lord Ranganatha. With his hand he tells, don't worry, because she is panic stricken. Mahalakshmi in his heart is also panic stricken. With his other hand he tells, you don't worry. And the other side, Chitragupta and Yamadeva look at these two demons and they start noting down the details in their register book. That is when Adisesha, out of the anger that these demons have angered Bhuma Devi and Sri Devi, he starts setting out virulent poison from his mouth. You can see those sparks also in the huge tableau. If you go to that temple, remember the scene that I have said and you will be able to relish the scene. So, Lakshmana, when he went inside Kishkinda, he started spelling out virulent poison. That is when the monkeys ran hither and thither. That is when Hanuman, he realizes what sin Sugreeva had committed of not keeping up his promise. He goes and knocks at the presidential suite of Sugreeva. It is written outside, do not disturb. So he knocks. Sugreeva and Hanuman here. He says, that is when Hanuman tells, you don't come because Lakshmana will just burn you with the fire that is emanating from his eyes. Send Tara, because Tara was on the same bed as that of Sugreeva. Tara, who is a sister-in-law, is on the same bed. Now she walks. How she walks, Valmiki describes. Sa praskalanti. Even she is equally drunk. Sa praskalanti. Look at the way he describes. It seems she had worn a garment with a robe. That robe had got so loose that it was about to fall. Sa praskalanti. Madhavikalakshmi. Her mother, she had gone to such an unconscious state that whatever she had drunk did not give her the senses of what was happening. Madhavikalakshmi. Kanchi Guna. Kanchi Guna. Kanchi is the Udiyan. Kaha Anchita Kanchi. Kaha in Sanskrit is Brahma. Anchita means to worship. When Brahma worshipped and the Lord appeared, that city is called Kaha Anchita Kanchi. Kanchi also in Sanskrit means Uddiyanam, girdle. You know girdle, Uddiyanam? Mekhala. Telugu Mekhala kada. Mekhala. That is why Krishna's Mekhala Annamacharya celebrates. Kadi dhadi ka Mekhala Khachitamani Kandika. Kadi dhadi ka Mekhala Khachitamani Kandika. Vadana Virajamana Kudila When Krishna is a little boy with his Mekhala jumping this side and that side, if he crawls it is okay. But Vali's wife Tara from the bed of Sugreeva, if her Mekhala changes, Sapraskalatri Madhavitvalakshim Pralampakanchi Guna Hema Sutra. Hema Sutra means golden dust laid tattoo. See, in Egyptian civilization, the pharaoh's wife used to sport one tattoo every day, not permanent tattoo. Tattoo itself you got 2 layers, like one permanent tattoo, one other will stay for 1 month only. So this tattoo which the pharaoh's wife used to wear was a glue that was mixed with gold dust. So it used to have a shape. So when Sugreeva touched Tara's hands, that Hema Sutram got rubbed away. Pralampakanchi Guna Hema Sutram Salakshana. With this Lakshanam, she is coming and standing. Now you may be wondering, why should Valmiki describe all this like unwanted things? No, there is a meaning. Salakshana Lakshmana Sannidhanam. She's standing before the Sannidhanam of Lakshmana. Why? Because when Ram came in search of Sita along with Lakshmana, he sees Sugreeva. Sugreeva tells, don't worry Rama, we can rescue Sita. That is when Hanuman tells Sugreeva, tell Rama, yes, Rama, few days back we saw a lady as beautiful as Sita going in the Pushpaka Vimana. That is when she threw certain jewels and we collected them in a piece of cloth. We are unsure if that lady who flew was actually Sita. Looking at these ornaments, can you check? Shighramalaya, get that, said Ram. When the moment Sugreeva opened, Ram started crying and said, these are the jewels of Sita. I confirm that these are the jewels of Sita. But he wanted a reconfirmation. So he looked at Lakshmana and said, Lakshmana, why don't you check? Because in any experiment we do it twice. If you remember titration, we have to put one solution in the burette, then we have to take another solution in the pipette. And the pipette is very orthodox. The same person, whatever result, the other person will also do the same. And then we will look at the lower meniscus. And then we put it into a conical flask. Then we will put one indicator, something like phenolphthalein or phenyl orange. Then we will put and we will then the burette will start coming. Now at a certain point it will turn from colorless to color. That is called the end point. So we call it the titer value in titration. So you will immediately say 16.3. But the teacher will not accept this. She will say, go do it again. You have to do it the second time. It is called concurrent titer value. Only when you get it twice, they will accept. So Ram checked whether these are the jewels of Sita. He knew, but he wanted Lakshmana to check. That is when Lakshmana starts crying. Why are you crying, Lakshmana? Asks Ram. He says, Naham janami keyure, Naham janami kundale, Nupure tvabhijanami, Nityam padadi vandanar. Brother, I am not able to recognize the studs that she used to sport. I cannot see the attivate, the necklace that she sported. I cannot recognize the girdle that she sported. I can only spot the nupuram. Nupuram for the men is the anklet. For the women, it is the metti. So, metti is nupuram in Sanskrit means the last ornament. For the lady, which is the last ornament. The last ornament is the metti. He looks at the metti and says, Nupure Vahijanami. Rama, I can recognize only this metti. Rama, when you are not able to recognize the others, how can you recognize this alone? Nityam Padadi Vandanan. Every day I used to fall at my sister-in-law, who is actually my mother, and used to seek her blessings. So I used to see this. So, here is the one who sees his sister-in-law as the mother of the universe, and before him is coming another sister-in-law who is sleeping with her own brother. Salakshana, with this Lakshanam, Lakshmana Sannidhanam, Jagamadara Namidam Vayashti. She was unable to walk, it seems. That is why this Sannidhi of Rama is very important. And Serpoji, a great Marathi ruler who ruled Tanjavur, he wanted Kadahasti Iyar's grandson called Tyagaraja of Dilbayaru to sing for him. So he said, Tyagaraja, come and sing. Every month through ECS, I will transfer so much of money for you. But Tyagaraja said, if you give me the best of the curds, best of the milk, best of the ghee, best of the fruits, I will not seek that. Dadhina vanita shiranuru chiyo Ashadati dhyana bhajana sudhara samuruchiyo Nija mugabalu manasa nidhijana sukhama ramuni san nidhi seva sukhama Nija mugabalu manasa nidhijana. Whether you need the nidhi or or Sannidhi. So who was the one who was behind Nidhi? Sugreeva's wife. Now he had remarried Tara. Sugreeva's remarried, newly married wife Tara. Whereas who is behind the Sannidhi? Lakshmana. Sadakshana Lakshmana Sannidhanam Jagamatara Namitangayashni. But now, looking at the posture in which Tara had come, Lakshmana put his head down. He thought he has to put his head down because out of that shyness, looking at this lady in this posture with the robe out, with the tattoo being rubbed away, he did not want with her eyes red after having drunk. He kept his head down. Combined disgrace, how shy he was. If a person were to have 10 mothers-in-law and all of them were to come together, this son-in-law will be so shy that he will put his head down. Likewise was Lakshmana. So that is when Tara says, Kim Kopa Moolam Manujendra Putra, you should not get angry like this, Lakshmana, it doesn't suit you. She doesn't realize the mistake what Sugreeva has committed. That is when Sugreeva, what Hanuman does is he takes Sugreeva to the wash basin, splashes water on his face and says, come here. And Sugreeva stands before Lakshmana and says, forgive me. That is when Lakshmana says, you should not ask for forgiveness. Both of us are great devotees of Ram, you are my friend. So the moment Anjali was done, Anjali Paramamudra Kshipram Deva Prasadi states Vedanta Deshika. If you do this posture before the Lord will give you anything. But to do this, we think so many, this is the problem when it comes. You trust him completely. This is not like electricity backup. If there is no electricity, I got a UPS. There is nothing like that. If you surrender to him, he will protect you. He has no other work but to protect us. But our mind should be completely with him. We should have confidence in him. He will protect. Vishwasam Prarthana Purvam Atmaraksha Bharamkari. That complete confidence, whatever he does, he will do it for my good. Tarudueram Taraye Sharanalla Saranillai Arishinatta Ninda Taya Hathidim Machavantan Arudinayade Vittuvarkottamma Nara Vadarude Parpanadiye says Sulashekara. Even if the mother were to admonish her kid, the kid will not go to the next door lady and say that you are my mother from today. The child will again come and cry at the same feet the lady who admonished the child. How much ever he tests us, it is he who will always elevate us. So we should have complete confidence in him. Yeah, our parents should be okay. You know that you should be hey, how you should like that? You know what Swarana is? Swarana is very tight. So you should trust him completely. That is when Anjali Paramamudra, he keeps his palms together. That is when Lakshmana tells, don't worry, Sugreeva you come. Sugreeva was taken to Raman. Oh, he opened that map. He said, see, this is that west middle field. You have to go and search there. This is north field. You have to go and search there. This is 5401 in Toronto. Be very careful. You will be caught in traffic. Everything Sugreeva was explaining to the monkeys there. The monkeys were wondering how Sugreeva knew the topography where Sita will be there so clearly. Go to North Usman Road. There you will find, take diversion, come by James City Road, come to Anna Sare. Everything Sugreeva was explaining. That is when Rama got it out. Sugreeva, I thought you are not so intelligent. You seem to be very intelligent with the topography. How come? Sugreeva said, my brother Wali used to chase me in these roads. So I know the roads very clearly. So he said, north team, these monkeys will go and search. East team, these monkeys. Sushena will go to the west. Hanuman, Jambavan, Angada, Nala, Nila will go to the south. So after having dispatched, that is when Ram looks at all the monkeys. He looks at all of them and tells Hanuman will come. He gives his ring and goes. Now every monkey should ask right here. They should have asked, why was Hanuman alone chosen? Then comes the answer, no, Hanuman is the only capable one who can fly. So Ram knew Hanuman's caliber, so he sent it to Hanuman. But if Ram had known that Hanuman alone had the caliber, he didn't have to make the rest of the 69,989 monkeys search. They could have sat in their houses and watched some Pilasi. Why should they go and search for Sita? When Ram, the reason is not to tell that Ram was confident on Hanuman, because Hanuman was the only monkey in the entire crowd who had vowed not to marry. So he was thinking from the bottommost of his heart, why is this Ram crying and lamenting over his wife's abduction? Like his father, he can marry somebody else and settle down. Hanuman was thinking, Agathin Aladu, Mugathin Theriyu, face is the index of mind. So you will know. See, generally when we speak, give lectures, we will know how to gauge the audience's mood. So, in certain places they will be very vigilant. That is when you will feel like telling more things. In certain places, so we have to look at the audience face. So Ram was very good. He knew what Hanuman was thinking. Then he thought, if Hanuman is thinking so, it is this Hanuman who should go and see Sita. Then he will know what kind of a person I am missing. So he gave this ring to Hanuman. They all went to the south of India. They started searching place to place. They could not find. They went to be in a cave. They could not find Sita. Finally, they reached a mountain called Mahendragiri, which is called Tirukkurungudi today. If you have heard of the company called TVS, T stands for Tirukkurungudi, which is a beautiful hamlet temple town near Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu. Very beautiful temple. This berry, you will have to keep on making copies of that berry. It is such a beautiful temple, exquisite architecture, and the Gopuram, inside the Gopuram towers, you have got exquisitely carved teakwood architecture by Cherakis. Extremely beautiful monolith pillars. If you go to Sri.Dushyanth, the next temple, even more beautiful. I cannot describe it. Every pillar has a story. So beautiful it is. So Nammalvar states, Enganeyo Annanirgal, Ennai Univadanir, Nangatkola, Tirukkurungudi Nambiyainan, Kandavin, Shanginodum, Neniyodum, Tamarai Kangalodum, Senganivar, Uninodum, Shenginadu, Nenjane. He says, the Lord there is called Vaishnavarambi in Tirukkurungudi. Extremely beautiful Lord. Now, on this hill, all the monkeys were stationed and the monkeys were lamenting. We have not found Sita. I mean, we should all commit suicide because if we go and inform Ram, he will feel very bad. We should all commit suicide. That is when they were talking about Rama, one vulture called Sampati, who had lost his wings, who was inside the cave, peeps out and says, I am going to eat you all. I am very hungry. That is when the monkeys say, you are a vulture, a scavenger. We know another vulture called Jatayu who has helped our dear Ram, and you are telling you are going to eat us. Jatayu? Which Jatayu? The vulture Jatayu? The monkeys say yes. Do you know him? They ask. He is my younger brother. When both of us flew towards the sun, the scorching rays of the sun were to harm us. I did not want my brother to get affected. So I covered him with my wings. So my wings got burnt and I fell down. And what happened to my brother? Your brother has passed away serving Ram. Serving Ram, he has passed away. Tell me about Ram. That is when the monkeys tell Ishwagvam Shapravaha Ramo Ramajaneshwaraha. They tell till then. Okay. But I will help you in the mission of Sita. See, I cannot fly monkeys, but I can surely see far distances. I see that one very beautiful lady is shedding tears under the branch of a tree somewhere 100 yojanas away. It should be Sita for sure because Sugreeva had told me that she has gone in the southern direction. Is it in the southern direction? Yes, it is in the southern direction, Sampati said. So that is when Sampati tells, can you describe more about Rama? That is when they describe more about Rama's qualities, and as they describe, he starts getting fresh wings in Ramayana. In Ramayana, by the mention of Rama and his pastimes, he gets a wing. In Krishnavataram, when the entire lake water where Kaliya was inhabited had been turned into poison, the trees around that lake had turned dead. when Krishna stood on that tree and jumped into the water, the place where he stood, a little sapling arose, says Shukabrahma. So when the Lord's pastimes were displayed, Sampati got his wings and he started flying. That is when 100 yojanas is the distance. Who can fly? Asked the age-old bear king Jambavan. One monkey said, I can fly 10 yojanas. The other said, I can fly 20. The third one said, I can fly 50. Then the other one said, I can fly 100. Who is the one who said 100? Asked Jambavan. It was Bali's son, the higher apparent, Angada. Angada said, I can fly. But he said, I will not have the stamina to fly that 100 back. What is the use? You cannot send a message from there. So what to do? There should be some person who has the stamina to fly from Bharata Bhumi to Lanka and from Lanka to Bharata Bhumi. He looked around, Hanuman, Bashpavari, Paripurna Lochanam. He was quiet. Because Hanuman, being a hyperactive boy in his young days, was cursed by a rishi that he will not know his powers unless and until reminded by a third person. So Jambavan said, Hanuman, you can do it. You have the power. You have the power to serve Ram. That is when Hanuman realized his power. He stood on the Mahendragiri Parvatam. He started growing, and as he grew, because of the pressure exerted by his growth, the boulders and the cliffs started colliding with each other and they started getting pressed. So the snakes that were found in the holes of the ground, they came out of the pressure, and with their teeth they started clicking on the stones. Because of this, the poison started getting emanated. And as he exerted pressure, the trees on the hill started shaking, and the flowers fell on his horripilated, goosebump skin, hair. That is when Pushpamayo Yatha, states Valmiki. And as Hanuman grew, like a rocket is being propelled, and when it is being propelled, the sparks of fire are being sent out at the bottom. Likewise, when Hanuman flew, the trees and the shrubs around him, they flew to a certain distance and they came. Like the guests who are being dropped off by the host outside by going outside the house. So the host should come out of the house, drop the guests and go. Likewise, the shrubs and the herbs, they wanted to bid a farewell to Hanuman. So Hanuman flew. सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिंह दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जलावा, भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे, लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हर्षिउर लाए, रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई, सरस बदन तुम रोजस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे, सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित हरीसा, यम कुबेर दिगपाल जमाते, कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते, तुम उपकार Sundarakandam begins. So tomorrow we will have Sundarakandam, Anguli Pradana, a very gem of a portion of Ramayana, that which grants us what we wish for. So we will have an experience of Sundarakandam tomorrow. As upon request, I will be reciting the composition of Alakarama Dikshithar. कल्याण रूपाय कलौ जनानां कल्याण धात्रे करुण सुधात्रे कंवारि दिव्यायुध सत्कराय महालयाधीश नमो नमस्ते नारायण 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 कपालेन नभेन सर्वाणि च मङ्गलानि नारायण
नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण
नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण नारायण I have one request. I have to talk about my pen drive, and before that, let us all wish Lord Krishna a happy birthday. Now, there is a small difference. Some Sampradayam celebrates it on the Tithi, which is the Ashtami. Some celebrate it on the Nakshatram Rohini. That difference always exists. Nevertheless, those of you who are celebrating today, those who are going to celebrate tomorrow, those who are going to celebrate the day after tomorrow, and comfortably some of them will celebrate on the weekend. So, whichever day you are celebrating, we should all have a great Krishna Janmashtami. And during the Krishna Janmashtami, we have had the opportunity to speak of Ramayana. This is one. Second, this is the chip that we have got. So there is a small chip here. This chip is the major portion of this piece, because this is a 16 GB micro SD chip, and it supports 220 plus hours of lectures in Tamil. So there is Ramayana for 22 hours. This was delivered by me at Kalpati, Palakkad. Then Bhagavatam 27 hours. So I had to deliver for 14 days. Then Tiruppavi for 32 hours. Ramanuja Charitram for 11 hours. Vedanta Deshika Charitram for 13 hours. A Sanskrit play drama called as Sankalpa Suryodayam for 5 hours. Vishnu Sahasranamam, I have explained 570 names out of the 1000 names. 430 pending. 570 names I have explained for 86 hours. Then Harikatha on Gita Govindam, Annamacharya, Bhadrachala Ramadas, Purandaradasa, Meera, Abhanu, Narasimha, Agre Krishani, Jai Hanuman for 15 hours. Then there is a Charma Shlokam, Sudarshana Veku Garudavedu for 10 hours. So totally 220 hours. Those of you who wish to buy can buy. So this card can be used to see those. If your device is supportive of a card, the micro SD card, you can use it. There is also a chip holder that has been given. You can insert it rightly in the groove. If you insert it in the wrong way, it may not work. Insert it in the right way, and you can use it as a pen drive too. So now gone is the era of CDs, because if I have to make the 220 hours into CDs, then you have to bring bags to carry it. So it's the era of chip. In the days to come, that may also go away. So I'm not sure. So those of you who can understand Tamil, I'm sorry for those of you who can't understand Tamil, I don't have anything as of now here. So those of you who can understand Tamil can buy this. It's going to be simple Tamil. Even if you understand Tamil in pieces, you can understand. If you understand Kabali, you can understand this. That's the key. So you can buy this. This is placed with Srimad Sridhar ji, and those of you who wish to buy can buy. Kavidharika Simhaya Kavidharika Vishadani Srimade Venkateshaya Vedanta Namaha. I'll be troubling you for